Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I have been on the carnivore diet now for 169 days. I've lost 79 pounds and I wanted to do a video on how I did this. A kind of a tips for people who are thinking about doing this and who want to start the carnivore diet. Other than weight loss, there's been many other benefits to this diet. For me, the biggest one was hunger pain or no cravings. On all the other diets I've ever done, I've done many diets. I've done Weight Watchers, intermittent fasting, the 1 bar a day or a couple bars a day thing, keto, keto, it's a good diet and I've had a lot of success with it, but I always went back. I've lost a lot of weight on it, but 169 days, that's like 5.5 months. That's the longest I've ever stayed on a diet. But some of the other benefits, I'm just going to list them here real quick. Acne cleared up, inflammation went away, no more dry skin, toenail fungus is gone. I sleep less, but it's more of a deep sleep. Lower resting heart rate. It went from 64 all the way down to about 55 within like 30 days on that. Way less bowel movements. A lot of people say they're constipated on a carnivore diet. Generally really not the case. It's just that whenever you eat a lot of meat, you use 90 to 95% of it, so you don't have any waste. It all gets digested in the small intestine, and it never makes it a large intestine. No depression. Whenever you look like I looked at 319 pounds, it's very easy to get depressed. And that was right at the height of COVID, and everybody was staying inside and all that, and yeah, it was hard to get motivated. Lower blood pressure. I've never really had a lot of high blood pressure. My worst that I can remember, because I used to keep track of it a lot, was 145 over 95 or something like that, which isn't terrible, but ain't great either. It's pretty high hypertension. Now it is consistently 110 over 70 all the anytime I check it, as long as whenever you're calm, check it when you're calm. And that's a good health indicator that you're doing the right thing. Skin tags, I've been kind of monitoring them, which it's kind of a silly thing, but once you get my age, by the way, I'm 52, you start seeing skin tags, and a lot of them have disappeared, and most all the other ones have shrunk. I haven't had a lot of them, maybe 10, 15 of them, but you actually see that starting to go away. Way less soreness after lifting weights. I took up lifting weights back in, this is November the 19th. I took it up in middle of July maybe. So I don't have any soreness hardly at all ever when I get done lifting weights, which it used to just kill you. Sunburns. I do lawn care. I do 20 lawns, 20 to 25 lawns a week. So I get a lot of sun, and every year I'd get burned. This is the first year I did not get burned. I was out at one property all day long, 7.5 hours, 8 hours. It was 94 degrees, 95 degrees out, full sun. Never got a sunburn. So that's really unheard of for me. No fever blisters. I would always get fever blisters on my lips and stuff. Generally I don't get them until it starts getting cold, and now it's November. Usually my wife's a teacher. She goes back to school in August, and usually by September I've had at least a couple of fever blisters, and none this year. Sinus issues. I've never had too much sinus issues, but this year when it has been really dry and you start mowing, all that dust is everywhere. My noses start running. I didn't have that problem this year at all, and it's been pretty dry this year, especially in August and September have been really dry. Here's a big one for me. Cleaner teeth, no more morning breath, no more bad breath, and I've had gingivitis since I was a teenager, and that's completely cleared up. First time since I was 17 years old, 16, 17 years old, but it's completely gone now. I went to the dentist a couple months ago, about a month ago, and it's completely gone. I think, I can kind of tell. I think my gray hair is starting to turn back to its original color, which is pretty awesome, I think. And then a lot of people complain that steak and doing a lot of meat is expensive, but for me, it hasn't been. It's actually been cheaper because, for one thing, I don't eat out all the time. I'm usually cooking at home. And I'm to the point now where I eat once or twice a day versus 3 times or 4 times a day and then a bunch of snacks. So our grocery bill has actually went down, and our going out bill has definitely went down. Starting the carnivore diet. This isn't medical advice. This is a YouTube video, guys. But I'm going to give you my advice on how to do it. I've been pretty successful at it. I've actually stuck to it now for almost 6 months. The longest diet I've been on. I like to start calling it a way of eating now. But one of the first things you need to do is decide how you're going to do it. Are you going to jump right into it? Or are you going to kind of take it a little slow? I jumped right into it. I had really bad headaches the first 2 days. I was miserable. So I don't necessarily recommend it for everybody to do it that way, because you start doing that, you start having the headaches, and they don't last. It does get better, but that can be a obstacle to you to quit, and many people do. Make a goal for how long you want to do this diet. I started off doing, I said I'm going to do it for 30 days, see how it goes. And then I did so well, I lost 27 pounds my first month. Felt a lot better. Many of them things I listed before had happened. So I said, I'm going to do 60 days. So I did 60 days. And then I was like, man, I think that second month I lost 15 more pounds, which was cool. I was like, yeah, all right. So I decided I'm going to do it 90 days. And I just continued to do it because it wasn't necessarily all the weight loss, which, was good. But I did this more to be healthy and to feel better. And that's what it has done for me. Some of the benefits will come quickly. Some will take weeks or even months, on this diet. One of the main things you want to do is don't undereat. Eat until you're comfortably stuffed. All right. You have to you have to eat. I mean, we have been so conditioned, on other diets, is that, you got to stop here. You got to count this calorie. You got to count that calorie. You got to count the macros and all that. And you don't do that on the carnivore diet. So don't count calories. Try eating 1, 2, or 3 times a day. When I first started it, I did 2 times a day. I would eat a big breakfast, bacon, eggs, sausage, butter. And then sometimes I would do ground beef and eggs. But then I would do that first thing in the morning, 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, and I wouldn't eat again until dinner, which I usually try to eat dinner between 4 and 5. Um, but then I got to the point to where I'd wake up in the morning, and I would not be hungry, and I got to the point where I was like, man, if I try to eat breakfast, I feel nauseous. I don't want anything to eat, so I didn't eat. Um, for me, the best thing that worked for me was eating what they call, well, it's intermittent fasting basically, a 16-8 window, which means you fast for 16 hours and you have an 8-hour window of eating. So that worked really well for me, and I kind of pushed that a little bit. I would normally do a 20-hour fast and then eat for, in a 4-hour window. So I'd eat something, right around noon, 1 o'clock, and then I wouldn't eat dinner until about 4 or 5 o'clock. And sometimes I'd only eat once a day. You know, most of the time I would eat twice a day, but there were many times where I did 24-hour fast. Um, no snacking. I mean, and you really shouldn't need to. I mean, once you get it about a week into this diet, after all the cravings are gone, sometimes that might take 2 weeks. You don't really need a snack. Um, you need to opt for the fattier cuts of meat. You want to go to like a 1-to-1 ratio on fat versus protein. I eat right now what I'm doing, and I found a pretty good hamburger. I eat hamburger patties for lunch, but they are 85-15. Okay, 85 for 85% lean, 15% fat. So what I do is I put a little thing of butter on it, a little cube of butter on it on each patty, and I salt it to taste, and this works great for me. I feel so much better. I eat 3 or 4, sometimes 5 patties, depending on how hungry I am. And then for dinner, I'll have whatever meat I want to have. It's usually steak or chicken or pork. It's normally what I eat. So, um, um, and to get, like I said, to get to that fat ratio, use butter. I mean, we eat a lot of butter. You may want to transition into this slowly, 1 to 3 weeks. When you start cutting, the carbs and the sugar and whatnot, you may want to kind of transition it the 1 to 3 week thing to where you don't have them withdrawals and the sugar withdrawals, the carb withdrawals, and all that. If you do go feet first in this, you probably and you're eating a standard American diet with the sugar and the carbs, you probably are going to have carb withdrawals, and they're not that fun. For me, that first 2 days is pretty bad. After that, it got a lot better. Really got better the second day or third day. And after that, man, it was a lot easier. So give your body some time to adapt to this. If you start eating the fat, you are going to have some diarrhea because your body is not yet used to eating it. And, we've been, like I said, conditioned before about low fat, low fat, low fat, low fat, low fat. Well, when your body starts eating a bunch of fat, your liver makes bile, and your gallbladder stores the bile. So if you don't have enough stored in reserves, there ain't no way of breaking down that fat. So the fat's just going to run straight through you. It's going to take a little bit of time. And you probably will get diarrhea if you've been eating a standard American diet. And one big thing I can tell you, don't trust a fart for at least, the first 2, 3, maybe, even a month. Don't trust a fart. Cooking animal fat, try to stay away from seed oils. Use bacon grease, beef tallow, ghee. I've seen some research on the seed oil. For me personally, I've had, chicken wings and that kind of stuff cooked in seed oil while I was on this diet, and I didn't feel worse or anything like that. It didn't really change for me, but I think there is a lot of research out there suggesting that seed oils are not good for us. So that would be one thing you want to try to avoid. Use plenty of real salt. I use this stuff called Redmond's Real Salt. It tastes really awesome, and I don't know how to do the camera yet to make that not look backwards. So I'll leave a link on how to get this. You can get it at Walmart, I think, but it's cheaper on Amazon for some reason. This bottle right here is an 11-ounce bottle, and I think it's $6 for salt. It really tastes good. I get the fine, and it's very, very clean. Doesn't have a bunch of toxins and stuff in it, like the sea salt that we're getting today. Here's the big one. Clean out your pantry. I mean, you can't have a bunch of sugar in your pantry and that kind of stuff if you're on this diet. I mean, we cleaned out the pantry after about 2 weeks after we seen the results. We cleaned out the fridge the next week. Sugar and carbs are addictive. I'm sorry, but they are. And, an extra crack addict doesn't keep a little bit of crack around just in case. So you gotta get that stuff out of your house. Tell your friends and family, especially during holidays and stuff, that this is what you're doing. That you're trying to improve your health, so they're not constantly trying to shove food or sugar and carbs in your face. I mean, I think most family members will do that for you. So try to let them know ahead of time whenever, because, this Thanksgiving's coming up. It's 11/19. I think 28th this year is Thanksgiving, so it's coming up really fast. Have a good source of electrolytes and minerals used to fight cravings. If you start having some cravings, just, take a little salt and put on your tongue. That does help with, sometimes with the cravings at first. Like right now, I don't have any, but the first couple weeks, that's something you can try. Whenever you do this diet, you have I would say all people that are eating a standard American diet, they have inflammation in their body. That's what all the unhealthy fluid in your body. And that's a lot of what you lose that first month is a lot of unhealthy fluid. So whenever you flush out that fluid, you're flushing out your electrolytes, and you may need some. Here's what I use. It's called Elite Electrolyte, and there's some other good ones out there. You don't have to use this one. I think I got this off of Amazon also, and it works really good. When you start feeling lethargic, you can put this in your water. You can put this on top of your steak. I just take the dropper and put a couple of drops in my mouth or on my tongue, and that usually alleviates any kind of lethargicness that I have or feeling bad and all that. Eat meat you can afford. I mean, if you're on a budget, hamburger, it's not too bad, not too bad price-wise. Bacon, eggs. If you have to eat bologna and hot dogs, I mean, I know you were thinking, this guy wants me to eat bologna and hot dogs? That's so unhealthy. All bologna and hot dogs is meat with spice and some flavoring in it. Try to get the one that's the lowest carb. But a lot of times, hot dogs and bologna will have what we call nose to tail. A lot of organ meat and that kind of stuff in there, which organ meat is really good for you. Very, very nutritious. Don't forget about eggs and fatty seafood. I learned this just recently, that your brain itself is made mainly of fat. 60% of your brain is made of fat, so we need the fat. It's one thing that a lot of people on the internet are saying right now, will try to drill into you, and you need to know this, that you need to eat fat. You need it. I mean, if you don't eat enough fat in a day, you're not going to feel very well. I mean, so don't try to eat lean, try to eat fat. This was a hard one for me, and this is a big one for me also. Try to eat liver. If you can stomach it, you can go on the internet and see how many, there's all the different ways to cook it and all that. But what I did is I found my local butcher would grind. What I did is I got 10 pounds of hamburger and a pound of liver. And so it's, 10% liver basically. And he ground it in my hamburger for me real well. And when I cooked that up, most of the time I can't taste it. Some of the time where he didn't quite grind it very well, you could taste that strong taste, or that you could smell that strong smell. But I noticed whenever I cooked it, if I cooked it well done, it didn't taste that way. And I know whenever you cook things well done, you do kind of get some of the nutrients out of the meat, which you try not to do that. But for me, doing it well done seemed to help on the taste. Drink water, unsweet tea, or coffee with no sugar. A little cream, I don't think it's going to hurt. A lot of carnivores will say that's a plant, but I think most people don't have an issue with that. Me, I'm not a tea or coffee guy, so I do just basically drink water. And at the first, if you have to use some of the artificial sweeteners to try to get yourself acclimated, that's fine. But just try to wean yourself off of that in the first couple of weeks to 30 days, and you'll do a lot better. Try to find a local meat market. And talk to your butcher about other cuts of meat, that would be helpful for you. I had a lot of discussions with my butcher about where the meat came from and all that. He helped me to kind of get my diet to where it should be, and he was very helpful. And a lot of times, they don't do this; they'll sell it to you, but a lot of times, butchers will give the fat to you, all the trimmings and stuff, and then you can render that down to beef tallow, which is very good. But my butcher does not do that. It's not for free anyway. Try to eat mainly ruminant meat, which basically is a multi-chambered stomach animal. That would include beef, bison, sheep, goat, venison. Most carnivores do better on this. Try to eat nose to tail, like I kind of mentioned before. Try to eat the organs. When you're chewing on a bone, try to chew the gristle off, and even the connective tissue. That's very good for you. That's what your body's made out of. You need that. I know some people think that's gross. I know my sister won't eat meat that's on a bone. I'm like, oh, okay, whatever. I mean, whenever I was a kid, didn't have a lot of money, so whenever I ate a chicken, I would pop open the bones, and I'd eat the marrow out of it. It's very nutritious for you. And I know people think that's gross, but if you slip up, and you're probably going to, I mean, I was very strict for the first 60 days. I'll admit, I did not eat anything but meat, bacon, butter, and that was pretty much it. Any kind of meat, and I was pretty strict on that. But if you do slip up, don't get down on yourself. Get back on the wagon. Don't let one slip up turn into a 1 week or 2 week slip up where you go, a week will set you back a month. A couple of days will set you back a week. But just get back on, and don't get down on yourself. Decide whether you want to do a ketovore or a carnivore diet. Now, in the proper human diet is what I call, that's been coined now, the carnivore diet. There are basically three different types of diets: keto, ketovore, and carnivore. Uh, Keto is try to limit yourself to about 30 carbs a day. Ketovore is like a very heavy keto diet, a very meat heavy keto diet with just a little bit of plants, a little bit of carbs, like 10, 15 carbs at the most. And I think a carnivore diet should be a zero carb diet. I mostly do through the week carnivore. I probably do a little bit of keto on the weekends sometimes. But most days I'm zero carb. Experiment with spices, condiments, and rubs. See, if you can eat that kind of stuff that's no carb or very little carb and it not affect you, then that's fine. Some people can't do that. Some people, their body just doesn't handle certain spices and that kind of stuff well, so you need to kind of experiment around with that. Dairy is fine. It is considered carnivore, but in my opinion, this is just my opinion, limit dairy to like a condiment. Just lose a little bit here and there. And if you're experiencing a stall, or where your weight loss isn't going near as well, try eliminating it. Completely eliminate dairy for 30 days. My first 60 days, I don't think I had any dairy. I'm trying to think, but I don't, other than butter. Butter doesn't have the carbs in it. So other than butter, that's all the dairy I think I had. Yeah, dairy's kind of a big one for people because I'm 52 years old and I don't know how many bowls of cereal with milk I've had. But we were all conditioned to dairy, eat dairy, and it is very nutritional. And but you kind of limit it a little bit when you're doing this diet. Save all your bones that you eat. Save all your bones. Put it in a big bag. I put all mine in a big bag in the freezer, like a gallon bag in the freezer. When it gets full, then I throw all them bones and put some water, in there, maybe a little bit of spices in the crock pot. Cook it for about 8 hours, and then you just strain everything off of it, and then you have delicious bone broth. And what that bone broth does, or what that slow cook does, is it gets all the marrow and all the nutrition out of that bone. Then you're eating that. One of the things I do, what I call a powerhouse meal, is hamburger, eggs, a little bit of bacon, and then I put some butter in it, and then I put a little bone broth in it, and that's just awesome. It tastes great. But that's it for this video. Please comment in the section if you have any questions. I'd appreciate it. I will try to answer it the best as I can. But like I said, I've been doing this for 169 days. And really keto, I've tried several different times. So there's a lot of different recipes and stuff I'm going to try to put on and try to get it going here. But that is it for this video. I wish you the best of luck. And like I said, comment and let me know what you thought about this video. Y'all have a great day.